Disneyland's turning 70, and we're all invited.
Welcome to Vacation Mavens, the podcast that brings you travel inspiration and practical tips from two moms who know how to plan the perfect trip.
I'm Tamara from Your Time to Fly.
And I'm Kim from Stuffed Suitcase. With over 40 years of travel experience between us, we're here to share our favorite destinations from road trips to cruising, theme parks, and European adventures.
Whether you're planning a family vacation or a mom getaway, we have the tips and tricks to make memories that will last a lifetime. So Kim, you just came back from one of your happy places.
Yeah, I do like Disneyland. We've spent quite a bit of time there.
I see, like you can't quite see, but maybe if you tilt the camera down, you can see the Mickey Mouse shirt. Is this a new one?
I wore it. No, this one I've had. I just decided to wear it for this episode, you know.
Yeah, you got to go with a theme.
Yeah.
So I know you go down there a lot, and especially you go to Southern California for me as a food allergy doctor, but you went for a special occasion this time. So do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so Disneyland did invite me to come down to kind of get a media preview of their 70th celebration, which started this past Friday. So it started on the 16th, and that was Friday, right?
Yeah.
Trying to remember now. I'm like, and yeah, so they're doing a year-long celebration. So this event actually will be going from this spring all the way through summer of next year. So it's kind of a year-long celebration. They did one at the 60th, and so this is the 70th. The official 70th birthday of Disneyland is July 17th, 1955. So
okay.
I'm sure
that
day will be busy.
There.
There's a little trivia for you. Yeah.
I feel like there's always something special going on at Disney, whether it's like an anniversary or just new openings, festivals, which is so funny actually now that we both have not quite 21-year-olds. You have a 21-year-old. Mine is going to be 21 in like a week and a half. Yep. And she was even like, well, if we went back to Disney this time, I could have a drink. We could go to the Food and Wine Festival. But anyway, tell me, so with this anniversary, what's special about it? What do they do? It's not like a typical like Food and Wine Festival or Chinese New Year Festival or, you know, one of those kind of things that I've seen. So what's the to-do about,
what's
I
unique?
guess?
Yeah. So I do think that if you have ever experienced a celebration there, such as the Chinese New Year or Food and Wine or even the holidays, it has a lot of the similar things from the feel. So what you're going to see is not always traditional decorations. So all the lampposts have 70th anniversary banners. And on Main Street, there's a big 70th emblem kind of for photo backdrop, kind of where the pumpkin normally is at Halloween time. I'm assuming at Halloween they'll take that away and put the pumpkin back, but I don't know how that always
on
works.
the pumpkin, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure. And on top of the castle, there's a big 70th kind of emblem. I can't remember what it's called, medallion that hangs there. So I would say the big thing is you will see those kind of decorations around the parks. And they do have a few interactions. So the big thing right now is they're selling these magic keys that are big plastic keys, and you can go around to all the lands. And once you unlock them all around the parks, a little kind of door pops open on the key and you get a special collector's pin. So that's a really popular like activation that they have. They also have, so you know Disney World, and you know how they have the magic bands at Disney World?
Yep.
Those they have at Disneyland as well, the Magic Band Pluses, so the more premium ones. And those haven't taken off quite as much because they don't have the same, they're not charging power. You can't like make charges to it, and you can't open your hotel room. But what Disneyland does is they have special activities around the park that react to, you know, especially fireworks and stuff, like your band will light up and vibrate and things like that.
Okay.
So at all the little medallions around the park, if you have a band, it kind of buzzes, and you can do this motion in front of it. And the Lion King one, it plays like a Lion King sound. And there's another one so they have just kind of some of those special interactions around the park.
So it gives you a scavenger hunt to do.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways. And then, of course, they've got tons of merchandise. They don't just have a traditional 70th stuff to sell. They've got like 3 lines. They've got a castle collection and another collection. So they know that people love buying merchandise with that. The Toy Story Midway Mania has a special overlay for the 70th. And so the points are worth more points than before and little things like that. So
yeah, it sounds like a really exciting thing for people that really know Disney or Disneyland and are able to, look at it as like a fun add-on. But for someone
Correct.
that maybe they haven't gone yet, is it a reason to go? Is it a reason to avoid? Like, or do you expect it
Yeah.
to be just kind of added entertainment while you're there?
I would say it's added entertainment. I don't think it's necessarily a reason. I don't think you would say, like, oh, if this is your one time bucket list trip to Disney, don't go. I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think that if you want the classic experience and you don't want the extra decorations and emphasis, you can choose not to go. But Disney's gotten so, almost like you said, Disney has gotten so good at always having something
Yeah.
to encourage people to come into the parks. So you're always going to be having that. And I think with this 70th celebration, there's just a lot of energy to the parks and the visitors and the decor. So they've talked about it this way. They want this to be considered like the best birthday bash ever. And so it feels like the colors, everything they're doing, it feels very much like a birthday party.
Okay.
And so really fun, lively colors and all of that.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, I mean, I think if you're going on a trip, it's a fun extra thing. If you're not going to do the holidays, because I always think holidays are fun at the parks and just kind of add, I think it's neat to have a little something extra, especially there are so much entertainment, which we can talk about in a little bit, but there's so much entertainment that I think that will really appeal to people if they're kind of having their first trip or not sure what to do.
Because I will say, like, because I'm, obviously I've been to both parks, one of them with you, but I still am not a like veteran Disney person, so there are many things that I wouldn't notice, so
Right.
a first time park goer probably isn't even going to look at the decoration on the lamps, but it all adds to kind of the festive atmosphere, but you're not
Absolutely.
like clocking it as like, oh, this is something to pay attention
Unique.
to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say that's probably right. Yeah.
So you mentioned some of the things. Did you mention that if there were any like foods? Because I know that they typically do a lot of like special foods for their festivals.
That is where I think they really are shining with this. It's like the food and wine type thing has just become all of these celebrations. They have an entire foodie guide, which I couldn't even explain all the good food that they have. So if you go to the Disney Parks blog, which we'll link in our show notes, they have an amazing foodie guide that talks through all the unique things. They have like a birthday cake churro, and they've got like this great, almost like a walking talk, like Frito pie type thing at one of the Mexican restaurants. So all the food carts and restaurants and things like that, a lot of them are getting these unique themed foods. They have macaroons like crazy, macaroons and macarons. They have both. And they even have, like, I don't know if you've seen Beauty and the Beast, but they're big on knowing that, like, the gray stuff from the movie. And it actually is just kind of like this special little treat. It's called 70th stuff. And it's got kind of a special whipped cream with a raspberry inside or something and like an Oreo cookie. It looked too sweet for me. I didn't taste test it, but one of my friends did. And she was like, yeah, it was good. And so they really went all out on the food. If you like getting treats and stuff, that's definitely a good thing for you. I know they even have a special Dole Whip treat as well. So,
oh wow,
yeah, almost every restaurant and food place has a special 70th something.
Yeah.
And so that foodie guide is really, if you're going to plan a trip, that I would highly recommend looking at that and making your list of some of the foods you want.
I kind of like that theme parks have gone in the direction of having kind of some signature foods and just making food a part of the experience and something that people look forward to or seek out versus just like, where can we eat between rides and things. So
absolutely. And I think that one of the big tips I would say for people if you are planning a trip is, and you do want to eat some of these specialty foods, is don't be scared of the mobile ordering on your phone. I've gotten so used to all the mobile ordering, and even when stuff is like, 30, 45 minutes wait or whatever, I don't mind. I just kind of go, well, I want it. Okay, so I'll go on this ride and then I'll swing by there and get that food item. And so just make sure you're prepared that some of these will run out during peak busy times. So order stuff in advance that you want and kind of plan that out. And don't be scared of the mobile ordering, because the walk-up lines still, I'm always amazed at the amount of people that just wait in line to order their food and don't use the phone.
Yeah.
So,
all right. And that's a great tip. A lot of people that haven't been before don't know how to take full advantage of that Disney app.
yeah, I think that's one of the best things you can do, especially also, I would say before your trip, is opening that app and kind of looking. So if you're going to be there on a Tuesday at Disneyland, kind of just look the Tuesday previous and kind of get an idea of what ride times are like, or what's the vibe, what are the waits for like where you want to eat. Is it a 50-minute, So if you really like planning, I'm saying this for planners.
Right.
You can definitely go and just enjoy, and you don't have to be. But if you're someone who wants to make the most of your day in the park, I would recommend doing a little advanced planning and really get familiar with the app, because the app is great for ride times, getting all, if you do decide to add the lightning lane, which has gone up in price. I bought it to hang out with a friend, and I was shocked to see that it was $36 for the day for me to have lightning lane.
Is that a per ride thing, or that's?
No, that's the day. So
Okay.
there's two rides, right? Radiator Springs Racers and Rise of the Resistance. Those are individual lightning lanes. So those
Okay.
you buy
Okay.
for just those rides. But the multi-pass lightning lane, which is where you can request one lightning lane for each of the rides. So
Okay.
Space, Big Thunder, all those. Matterhorn's down right now, but a lot of the main rides and some of the other smaller rides have it as well. And that now is 30. It used to be you pre-order and it was like $20 a day, $15 a day, something like that. And now it's up to $36 a day. So
Yeah.
something to keep in mind when you're buying those tickets, which I will mention, there is a ticket special going on. So
Oh, good. I was going to ask about that, if there are any like packages or specials for the
definitely
celebration.
packages. Yeah, I'll be sure to link to one of my favorite partners who, if you want to not have to overthink stuff and you want to just buy a vacation package, I work with Getaway Today. And I've been working with them for years and years and years. I do have an affiliate with them, but I also then use them to book some of my own vacations. They're a family-owned company, amazing customer service, and they'll price match anything you find elsewhere. And so I always like to book with them, even if I find a cheaper price, like on tickets or whatever. You can buy tickets directly from them, but I think they really shine with the whole packages because they have partnerships. You can sometimes get hotels. You can get your 5th night free. And so you could pay for 4 nights and get a 5th night free at some of the partner hotels around the parks. And then they also have just deals on the tickets. And I know they're running some extra ticket and package specials right now. So we can link that in there. If you use my code, I have to look it up. I'm either suitcase or stuffed suitcase. I forget now. You can get a little extra savings, minor, but small little extra savings on your package.
Cool.
If you book one.
Yeah, we'll
So
link that in the show notes, and maybe if somebody needs to just get your code, they could always DM you or something.
100%. Just DM me at Stuff Suitcase on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and I can shoot you my link and recommend some stuff too. Because I've stayed at a lot of the various hotels, and I just stayed at the Disneyland Hotel on this trip, and so definitely recommend. I know quite a bit about the area, so I can give you some advice if you need some.
This is one point where I will not be pitching my travel advisor services, because you really need somebody that knows Disney, and that's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it varies for what your priorities are too. And that's something that people don't realize. So so Getaway Today is great. And they're offering some extra bonuses with some of their partner hotels. And then directly with Disney, they have like a 20% off special at the Disneyland Hotel for certain dates. So that's something that's really cool to check. And then also they have a ticket special for this summer. So starting now, and it runs through the middle of August. They have basically you get 4 days, one park per day for $100 a day. So $400 for a 4-day ticket. And then I think it's $120 per day if you do the 3-day. So that works out to $360 then. And so that's kind of a savings on, a little bit of a savings for this summer. And a lot of times they do summer offers for locals. So this is kind of nice that everyone can take advantage of these ticket sales. And just keep in mind, it is one park per day. So if you want to be able to park hop between the things, that's going to be an extra fee on top of that. And then if you do want the lightning lane, that's also something extra.
I was going to ask if the celebration is happening in both parks or just the original Disneyland park.
Yeah, the celebration is happening in both parks. And they kind of have, I'm trying to think if I don't think there's any unique ride specials happening at California Adventure. That's where Toy Story Mania is. And then at Disneyland Park later in this year, I believe June or July, is when they're going to have an animatronic Walt Disney. He's going to be in one of the theaters doing kind of a show. And I think that'll be kind of cool at Disneyland. But otherwise, it's mainly about the entertainment and the food, I think, is where you're going to, and the merchandise.
Okay.
Like I said, the Magic Band interactions and things like that. But the entertainment, I think, is where people will, if you are making a trip, you're going to want to make time to try and figure out where you're going to stay to watch some of these things, because that's what I was kind of most interested in. So at Disneyland Park, I did forget that they're saying this is part of the celebration, but I feel like they're going to keep it. But yeah, it's a Small World. I don't know if did we go on that one?
We did.
You?
Yeah.
I think so. And you know how they have the characters inside of It's a Small World. So they've just added Dante and Miguel from Coco into It's a Small World. So I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to stay along with the other characters, but they are celebrating that as part of the 70th celebration, which, by the way, is themed Celebrate Happy. So that's the big new cavalcade is what they call it. So it's not really as long of a traditional parade. They're calling these things cavalcades where they have like 2 or 3 floats and dancers. And so it's a really short thing that happens twice a day. And this one's called the Celebrate Happy Cavalcade. And for the first time ever, they have Duffy and Shelley May is in the parade. So people who are really into Disney will know that that's pretty exciting because Shelley May has never been at Disneyland before. And it's more of the Asian theme parks. And they're the
Shelley
cute bears. I know. They're the cute bears. Do you know Duffy?
No.
Yeah. So it's actually a more Asian popular thing, but there are viral fans of them. And so Duffy and Shelley May are in Disneyland. So they have that in the cavalcade. They come out on like little scooters. So that's something that some fans will appreciate. And then they also brought back one of the best parades I think that people love, which is Paint the Night Parade. So that's at nighttime. You'll see the floats come down and they've almost got like LED rope lights on everything. And it's just very bright and vivid. And it's kind of a fun parade with some great music, and people really like that one.
So what's a good way to find out the schedule for some of this entertainment?
Yeah, on the app again, we talked about the app. People need to get away from the thinking. They used to have the paper things at the turnstiles, where you'd grab the show times.
Sure.
But now the app is where you do it. They'll have like on the app, when you go to the map, look at the top, they have like attractions, entertainment, things like that. And then as well, when you're on your main homepage and you're looking at the hours of the parks, you can say today's show times, and it'll show you all the special show entertainments and what times they're happening. So that's the best way to check those out. And then also, so they have the Celebrate Happy Cavalcade at Disneyland. They've got the Paint the Night Parade. They have something brand new on It's a Small World, and it's called Tapestry of Happiness. And this is, have you ever heard of Mary Blair? She's a famous artist. Okay, she's a famous artist that does a lot of Disney art.
Okay.
And she has a very unique look and style to her stuff. And they've done a projection show onto It's a Small World that happens. And it happens like right before the Paint the Night Parade. So if you really care about that, you got to get there early because that filled up fast. And I mean, I didn't even I was in a media section. I was like 6 people deep holding my phone up. So just be aware of that. But it's still, the music was beautiful. And it was really, they talk about that they wanted to kind of connect all the stories of the Disney characters and show how it's all about happiness and creating happy moments and stuff. And I think they did a great job with that. I was actually really impressed with this little show that's 5 minutes long.
Nice.
I thought it was emotive, which is not always possible, I think, but they did a great job with that. And then the last thing is the fireworks. So they brought back one of a very popular fireworks show called Wondrous Journeys, which has a beautiful story soundtrack. And that is one where there's a lot of projections on the castle and Main Street. So if you want to see the projections with it and not just the fireworks in the sky, that's something to keep in mind.
So where would you look to stand, and how early would you have to get there for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters how much these are like things that you just are interested in and how much you really want that prime spot.
Yeah.
People start camping out 2 hours before sometimes, especially in that esplanade, like right where the partner statue is in front of the castle. In advance, people to park there for all day. They'll start sitting on the benches and stuff. And some of the areas are roped off and for, accessible seating and things like that. So, but I think an hour before you can probably find a spot somewhere. It might not be prime, but you'll definitely get something. And again, if it's something you really care about, if you don't care that much, you'd rather keep going on rides, you can always pull up into the back of one of the sections and just kind of look over people's heads, especially if you don't have small kids. For adults, you can just pop in there and make it happen.
Yeah. For things like that, are there VIP like seating? Can you like buy your way into a higher, access? I mean, I hate that is the case with so many things with Disney, but
Yeah, I do know. I'm trying to remember all the different ones because the Paint the Night and the World of Color, which is over at it's over at California Adventure. They do have special dessert parties that you can pay into. And I'm just looking on the website really quick. Oh, yeah, they do have. Yeah. So Wondrous Journeys, they do have a dining package as well. And so all of those, yes, most of the nighttime shows now come with a dining package. I did see a review of the Paint the Night one, and in the reviewer's opinion, the seating. So a lot of times what they'll do is you can eat anytime at a restaurant, and then you're given a ticket to come back to a special section for the show. And they felt that the section was terrible. It was not, well located at all because I guess the parade didn't turn until last minute, and it was hard to view, and it just wasn't a great location. So that's something, if you're considering it, just definitely ask or look into where the actual reserved seating is. And that's the other thing, is you need to know if it says reserved viewing or reserved seating.
Yeah.
Because reserved viewing is just a
Standing.
ropes and you stand in there. And then and then people will even, it was so funny because there was one of our friends, Leslie, overheard someone saying, like, I guess you need to rope drop the rope drop now. And so it's like, even if you get reserved seating or reserved viewing, you have to show up like an hour before that, even if you want to be at the front of that rope. So it has gotten to be, that's why I think the entertainment's really great and well done. But I think just keep in mind, how much it matters to you and if you're okay with a few heads in your way and things like that. So
Otherwise, maybe some shorter lines for you to go knock off a couple more rides.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And they're always, I will say almost always, if you have 2 parades or 2 shows happening at a night, the second one is almost always less busy.
Okay.
So it's kind of, if you can stay up late or if you can manage
Yeah.
that, try and maybe go to the second one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go to the first one and then,
Yeah, with little
So-
kids, then they're going to leave and
go
to bed.
I mean, you always have a little bit of a risk of, like, if something happens and the second one gets canceled or, things like that. But yeah. So that's kind of the Disneyland Park side. On Disney California Adventure, the other park, which, as you know, is very walkable, very different than Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
You can park hop very
Love that.
easily at Disneyland. Yeah, that's a nice perk there. They have a brand new World of Color Happiness show. And so this is the 7th full featured show that they've had of that. And that's the water show where they have the screens of water and the projections
neat.
kind of shine on it. And it's right in front of the wheel. And that one is a big Inside Out themed. And so it still has great stories. Like, it actually has Encanto. There's even a little Muppets cameo at the beginning, which is kind of cute and funny for those 80s kids. And yeah, so it's just got some good characters and storyline to it, but it's mostly themed like this big in and out theme. I found the storyline a bit hard to track, but I think it's a beautiful show. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, you think how many kids are actually like understanding some of the stories anyway, as much as just the, ooh.
It's more just seeing the character, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's a lot of it. And they do have another 80s throwback, but they do have Boys to Men sings one of the going out songs. So it was like, oh, I like that voice. I know that voice. So yeah.
Any other special things that people should be aware of if they're visiting in the next year?
I think it's just, well, as I said, there's also the Pixar Pals Parade came back to Disney California Adventure too. So that's the daytime parade. And again, the entertainment is just the thing to be aware of. I think don't forget that Disneyland Resort still requires reservations for your tickets. So you need to reserve what day you're going into the parks in advance, and then they still have limited park hopping, so you cannot go to the other. If you're reserved at Disneyland, you can't go to the other one until 11 p.m.
11 a.m.?
11 a.m. Yes, correct. And be aware, because the lines for those get really crazy. I went go into the park at 10:55 a.m. and I couldn't even get up to the turnstiles because people start showing up for 11 and they won't let them in.
Oh.
But then they all just crowd and stay in line.
Yeah.
And so then they don't have a separate entrance for, like, if you have all day ticket or something.
Right.
They need to have one section that's like park hoppers, and they have to go over there. I would like to see them do that. So just keep that in mind. Rope dropping, I would say, is still the best answer, which means getting to the park an hour before official opening time and getting in and kind of figuring out what that strategy is that you want to do. Lightning Lane really does matter if you want to not wait in lines too long and you do want to do all the big time rides. But yeah, just be aware of there will be some crowds. Pass holders are still really big at Disneyland, and they start getting blocked out during the summer. So sometimes weekends actually can be almost better than
Like when you say blocked out, like there's blackout dates for
Yep.
pass holders?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if they have the lowest level of Southern California pass holders, they're blocked out for most of all of July, most of June, and half of August.
Oh,
So
wow.
you can kind of look at those blackout dates and see if it makes sense because locals still, there is a large locals contingent that come into the parks. But of course, during the summertime, visitors are going to be, you're going to have a lot of out of state tourists.
So what do you think's going to happen on July 17th? Will there be something extra special?
I don't know. I wonder. I don't know if they'll do, like, they'll have some special person there or if they'll do a special pop up. I feel like it'll probably be similar to what everything else is happening. I don't know if that's the day that maybe they'll launch the Walt Disney animatronic show that they're going to be doing. I'm trying to remember what the theater that's out, but I don't know if it's launching on that day or if maybe there will be some special giveaway or something unique. I'm not sure. They do have, if you are nostalgic with Disney, they do have Walt Disney's voice talking about the happiest place on earth and welcoming people. And his voice is in a lot of the stuff, like at the parade, like at the World of Color show, it opens up that way. And of course, Wondrous Journeys opening. And it's very it's really cool because Disneyland has been a great place for our family. And so for me, I just think of like this guy had this idea that kind of shaped theme parks around the world.
Absolutely.
In all honesty. And so I think like nostalgic people, I think that's a very emotional thing for me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of reasons to go back if you have been before, and especially if you really do love Disney, just to experience some of these new things, but also a nice time to go for a newcomer as well. I know we've talked about Disneyland in the past, probably a number of times.
Yeah.
But one of the questions, I think, for someone that might be considering a trip in the next year, you have stayed at a whole bunch of the hotels nearby.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about a few of your favorites that somebody might, or some pros and cons to some of them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're going to stay on site, the hotels these days have gotten so expensive. But there is some benefit to that. They have a half-hour early entry that can really, like, if you're someone who really wants rides, that can be a perk that's unique. The Disneyland Hotel, the day I was checking out was the day everything launched, and it had a beautiful, 70th rug and lots of balloons and got a big mural. And so they've done a lot of theming around the hotel itself. So if you really want that, bucket list, nostalgic experience, the Disneyland Hotel is great. It is kind of the farthest location, so you gotta walk all the way through downtown Disney in order to get into the parks. And then the Grand Californian, of course, is one of my top choices just because it's beautiful craftsman architecture.
Mm-hmm.
I think they recently renovated some of the rooms, did a soft renovation, if I recall correctly. And so they have cute Chippendale themed, it's very craftsman.
Yeah.
And they have the private entrance directly into Disney California Adventure, which after a long, busy day, sometimes that's nice. But they are so expensive. So if you're at all on a budget, you're going to be looking at staying off-site. And I would guess that, so just to give people an idea, you're going to look around the $500 to $800 a night range for one of the Disney on-property hotels. Pixar Place is across the street, and it used to be the cheaper one. But I've seen it higher than Disneyland Hotel now because Pixar Place does have a few activations. They've got a little really mini, I would say mini golf thing in one of the conference rooms. And then they also have a private entrance into Disney California Adventure now. They go right across the street kind of towards Grand California and they get a back entrance. So I think that's made it go up in price a little bit. And it was fully renovated.
And do they get that half hour early?
Yep.
As well?
Everyone gets, any of those 3 properties get the half hour early entry. And then when you're talking offsite, I have a few favorites that are just my go-to ones. For budget-wise, Fairfield Inn, if you're a Marriott person, it's kind of right across the street in great walking distance. It's kind of that typical motel exterior entrance, but it just works well. It's great. Next door to it is the Courtyard, which is a much higher price point. But if you have a larger family, they have 2 queens plus 2 bunk beds in a lot of the suites, and they have 2 showers. So you have a single sink, and then you've got a tub shower and then a walk-in shower.
Really
so
nice.
For bigger families, that can be, even though it's a higher price point, you're probably looking at $400-ish a night at something like that. Whereas the Fairfield, you can easily get around the 200 mark normally.
Okay.
And I know you stayed at the one kind of right behind it, one of the
Home 2 suites.
Home 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And
which was great. It was new and had a little kitchenette.
Kitchenette.
Yeah. So if you wanted to make some food, and the walk wasn't that bad.
It's not too bad. So it's kind of, you come right around onto Harbor. So that one's kind of a good one. And then I really, if you don't mind longer walking, I really like the Element by Weston, which is down off like Clementine and Catella. So it's definitely more of a walk. And then if you like luxury and you're a Marriott's person, you got the JW there, which I recently stayed. They've got brand new bunk bed suite rooms. They have an amazing kind of rooftop pool lounge area, a great lounge bar, pool bar area. And then the walk isn't too bad. Again, it's a longer walk, but for us, we don't mind walking longer to have a nicer property. Same with the Westin, another Marriott higher end property, has some amazing restaurants on site at the Westin. And some of their rooms have cool views overlooking the California. It's the Incredicoaster now. I was like, it used to be California Screaming, but now it's the Incredicoaster. And so that's kind of a cool, like, you feel like you have a theme park view room at those. And some of those properties there down on Catella have theme park view rooms, but you are getting a little longer of a walk. So,
I mean, to me, I would
say.
always rather have a walk than have to deal with either like driving and parking, dealing with traffic, paying for parking, or even just waiting for the shuttle buses, because then you're on like their schedule and there might be huge lines. And so I'd happily just, walk a half hour if I know that once I walk out my door, it's only a half hour,
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel as well. And the parking, I will say, even if you are planning to rent a car, just be prepared for parking costs. All the offsite hotels and onsite, they all charge a pretty, good parking fee of around $30 to $45 per night. So that's something to keep in mind. Speaking of, really quickly, what you said about the walking is, some people will, if you're staying at if you look at a map, this will make more sense to people, but the Harbor Catella area, which is down where they've got another courtyard down there. They've got a Spring Hill Suites, a few different properties down there. They've got a Hyatt House as well. And if you're staying there, a lot of people will actually walk over through the Toy Story lot, and you clear security there in that parking lot. And then they bus you in, but you get dropped off on the other side of security. So you can go straight into the turnstiles. So some people prefer that as opposed to walking and then having to wait in the security screening area off of Harbor. So that's something to keep in mind, that if you do stay farther away, you can go to the Toy Story lot and clear and get on one of their shuttle buses.
Well, I would take going to Disneyland in the summer above going to Disney World in the summer.
I've done both.
From the weather perspective.
I've done both,
Yeah, so
I think the trick is just, I will say, midday breaks. And that's where, if you do stay on site or stay in closer walking distance, get up early if you can. Give yourself a break day to sleep in, but get up early, get there for rope drop or early entry if you're staying on site. And then take a midday break from, have a nice lunch and then head back to the room, and don't go back into the parks until 5 p.m. and then stay late. And I think you'll miss that peak summer heat.
Yeah. Good. Any final tips for people?
I don't think so. Just feel free to message me. I do feel like I know quite a bit, but happy to send some more info if anyone wants advice. And I do think it's a fun celebration. It's kind of neat to go during one of these activities. And
all right. Well, stay tuned, because next up we're going to be sharing some other tips in our upcoming episodes. And then what do we want to give a little preview of summer travel?
Sure. Well, I think I've mentioned some, but I don't even remember everything I've got. I've got one big one that's just taking all my thought. But I will be flying for me personally, I'm going to be flying business class on Thin Air with points to go meet my daughter in Paris. She's going away for a school trip, and then her and I are spending 10 days traveling around Switzerland. So very excited to talk about that. That'll be July. So July for me.
Finnair, I thought you were going Condor.
I'm doing Finnair over, and her and I are coming Condor home. Both business class. Yep.
So plenty more reviews of different business classes.
Of business class products. Yep. Good. Absolutely. Yeah. Finnair is the one that has a unique, they don't have a lay flat seat. It's like this, kind of nesty ottoman style or loungy chair style. So I'll be interested to check that out.
Well, my kid is about to get on a very long flight from SFO to Beijing, and the school is paying for the flight. And so, of course, she's booked in basic economy. So last night I was like, do you want to look at trying to at least reserve a seat? And even all the way in row 40 something, it's $78 just to seat. But I'm like, I think it's worth it versus being in a middle seat for 14 hours or whatever. Yeah. So she's very much looking forward to her trip to China, but not the flight there and back, which I do not blame her. When she gets, when she gets
Yeah.
back, we are all meeting in the Bahamas. And so
That's
Glenn's
right.
family,
Yeah.
sisters, cousins, everyone will be there. And so we're going to have a week in the Bahamas. Hannah will only be there for the latter part of that. And then I'm home for a week, and then I go to Ecuador for like 2 weeks. So
Oh, wow. That's right. I forgot you're going to go back. You've
back to
just
South
got
America.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
to South America.
I
Yeah, that's
know.
crazy.
I'm excited
Yep.
about that.
Is that,
So
and you're doing Galapagos
doing
too,
the
so
Galapagos, and then I'm
yeah.
also doing a bunch of things on the mainland. So definitely some things to look forward to in our upcoming podcasts.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks as always, you guys, for joining us, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye.
If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe and rate and review on your favorite podcast app, as that helps other people discover us. And if you want to see more, follow me, Tamara, at Your Time to Fly on Instagram and Facebook and all the others.
And you can follow me, Kim, at Stuffed Suitcase on Instagram, Facebook, and of course my blog.